It goes on to say, and you who were dead in your trespasses, in the uncircumcision of your flesh, he has made alive together with him, covenant term, with him, having forgiven you all your trespasses, and having wiped out the handwriting of requirements which was against us, which was contrary to us, took it out of the way, having nailed it to the cross, having disarmed principalities, powers, and he publicly made a spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. So very important language, but we have to go back in time to really understand it. So he says he disarmed and he conquered principalities, and he made an open spectacle of them. Okay, let me draw a picture for you what he's saying there. You have to go back to Roman times. So if the Romans went into a city that was an adversary to them, and they destroyed that city, they would destroy everything. They burn it to the ground. They put salt in the ground so you can't grow if they didn't want to use it, right? They stripped the royalty and they stripped the generals. The rest became slaves or were executed. They took the principality or the powers, the royalty, the generals, back to Rome naked, not clothed, not partially clothed, naked. They took them back to Rome and they ran them through the streets of Rome under the Arch of Triumph. People were throwing apples and fruit and mocking them as they went. Then they publicly executed them and hung them on the gates of the city. Public spectacle, I would say. That's what Jesus did when he resurrected. He brought every demonic principality down. Okay? Let me explain to you. Jesus did it as a man. It's a very key that we understand that he was a man when he did it, because he already had that authority. He already had that power. But as a man baptized in the Holy Spirit, he now had that authority to come against the spirit of fear, the spirit of a demoniac, epilepsy, and other diseases, right? So do we. Because why? Jesus conquered them. Earlier, what did it say? We're raised together. Ephesians said we're seated together. We're above every name that is named. And so therefore, as a man or a woman of God in relationship with Jesus, we have that authority to stand against those principalities and powers. And how do we do it? The armor of God. I know who I am. What are you trying to do? Get behind me. You don't belong in my body. Epilepsy, you don't belong in my body. Cancer, you don't belong in my body. You're a name that's named and Jesus conquered you. And so to the level of our faith, to the ability of our faith, we walk in that power, we walk in that authority. Now I want to go back in time. Go with me to Isaiah chapter 14. Have you ever asked yourself, what's the root of all this? Why are we fighting? What are we fighting? I mean, what's going on? How do we get through this battle? Because sometimes it seems overwhelming. Why are there two sides? And so we really have to look at what happened. What's the root of all evil? And we have to go back to Satan's fall. So go with me to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12. It says, "How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground? You who weaken the nations, for you have said in your heart," now there's going to be 5 I wills here. Satan says, "I will" 5 times. In Ezekiel 28, the next scriptures we're going to, God says, 5 I wills. So here's what Satan says in his heart. "I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God." Those are the angels of God.